put our students in front of the end of year test, either FSA or EOCs, and we will be discussing those today. Even though we will be talking about April test, which it is writing, the test conditions and all the logistics that we will be discussing today are going to apply for the whole window. So again, today we will be discussing April writing testing for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but the testing conditions, the logistics, the grouping, how we're gonna be doing things, is gonna be very similar for April and May for the whole window. I wanted to thank Ms. Dillman and Ms. Amuedo for putting together not only this presentation and this parent night, but the whole testing season. It is a huge endeavor. It's very time consuming. It is very brain consuming because you have to think a lot of things. You have to set up a lot of different groups, small groups, accommodations, schedules. So thank you, Ms. Dillman and Ms. Amuedo, for taking care of our testing. And without further ado, we're gonna start. I'm gonna let you know that for our Spanish-speaking families, I will be translating all the slides. So Mrs. Dillman and Ms. Amuedo are going to go over the slides in English, and I'm gonna have the pleasure to do it in Spanish. Ms. Dillman?
Perfect, thank you so much. And we are actually recording this meeting as well. So we are going to have the link up for the recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation. Actually tomorrow, we'll have that information to you. So we are going to begin, as Mr. Delgado said, he's going to be translating beautifully in Spanish for us tonight. So I am going to begin going over our agenda. So we are going to be talking about the COVID emergency order, and this is the state order of how testing is going to be occurring this year, state testing. We're going to be talking about how testing is linked to promotion for middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We're going to be talking about our school-specific testing plan. This is, again, April dates for how our live, flex, and AFAR students, AFAR will be welcomed onto campus to test. Again, we'll talk more about what that will look like, and if you're interested in having your student participate from AFAR to transition to campus to take the state test. We're going to talk about the safety precautions and protocols in place, as well as the logistics, as Mr. Delgado said. We're going to be talking about a parent survey that's going to be sent to only our parents or guardians of AFAR scholars. So that's scholars that are working remotely that are currently not on campus. We're going to be discussing the donation bundles and any questions. So we are going to give a lot of information. There's going to be points throughout the meeting tonight, the parent night, that we are going to stop for questions. There's different kind of segments of information. So we will answer most of your questions, I'm sure, by the end of the presentation. So anything that you may ask throughout, if you do want to not forget, you can write in the chat. But again, we are going to stop along the way for questions. So hold your questions until we stop, just because we may answer your question along the way.
Bueno, para nuestros amigos en español, la agenda del día es una agenda bien cargada, para que sepan. Esta tarde vamos a hablar de muchísimas cosas y todas bien importantes. En primer lugar, de la orden del Estado. El Estado ha hecho una orden este año porque estamos bajo la emergencia del COVID en referencia a testing y cuáles son las obligaciones que tenemos las escuelas de realizar el test, el FSA o el EOC, que hablaremos después. Y también vamos a discutir el Promotion Criteria, que significa cómo los chicos pasan de curso. Los chicos de sexto a séptimo, los de séptimo a octavo y los de octavo a high school. Después vamos a discutir el plan que tenemos para hacer el testing en nuestra escuela, en particular. Las fechas, muy importante, las fechas en que los chicos de sexto, séptimo y octavo van a hacer el test de abril. Todavía no vamos a discutir el test de mayo, como dijimos antes, pero sí las fechas de abril para los 3 modelos que tenemos actualmente, Live, Flex y AFAR. Así que estén atentos porque vamos a hablar mucho de los estudiantes que estén Live, los estudiantes que estén Flex, los estudiantes AFAR. Así que pongan atención porque hay pequeñas diferencias entre ellos. Vamos a hablar también de qué va a pasar con el attendance durante esos días. como dije antes, de las normas de seguridad que vamos a tomar para hacer este test, así como la logística, donde vamos a hacer el test con unos estudiantes y con otros. Justamente después de este, si se puede, if you can, guys, mute yourself when you get in. Thank you. Si ustedes, ustedes van a recibir solamente las familias que están en Franklin from afar, las familias que sus hijos están todavía estudiando desde casa, solamente esas familias van a recibir el survey o el cuestionario después de esta reunión y vamos a explicarles este survey en esta reunión. Vamos a hablar de las donaciones que les vamos a pedir, no de dinero, ya tenemos bastante con el American Heart Association y el Boosterthon. Esta vez va a ser donaciones de snacks y de agua. Y, por supuesto, vamos a abrir a cualquier pregunta que ustedes tengan. Mrs. Dillman?
Perfect, thank you. So I do want to start with the state update. This is important for how assessments are going to be given this year. So this is the emergency order. They did it because of COVID and everything that was occurring with the triple models. So again, we do have our AFAR students, which are remote learners. We have our live and our flex for our campus. So because of the state order for state testing, no remote administration of testing will occur. What this is essentially saying that our AFAR students cannot take a state assessment at their house. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to propose and discuss our plan for tonight for state testing. We want to make sure that our FAR students have an opportunity, again, if you are willing to have your child participate, to be welcomed onto campus. So again, no remote testing simply explains that you cannot take an assessment at your house for state testing. The other important piece of this, which is the state of Florida wants our families to understand, is that there's a no opt-out policy. What this essentially means is that the final determination of whether a student or your child, for example, is in attendance on their scheduled testing day remains with the parent. So it is your decision if you want your child from afar, the remote learning model, to come onto campus to test. We will be providing all of the information of when your child in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade would be welcomed onto campus. We're going to go through all of that in this meeting today. Again, the most important piece about this slide is that it is your decision. It is not our mandate to bring the AFAR students onto campus. It is the parent decision if you would like your child to participate. Mr. Delgado?
I was muted. Queremos empezar con dos noticias bien importantes. En primer lugar, las noticias van dirigidas a esas familias que tienen sus hijos o hijas en AFAR, o sea, estudiando desde casa. El Departamento de Educación de la Florida ha ordenado que todos los test a final del año, tanto el FSA como el EOC, sean hechos desde la escuela. O sea, que no han aprobado ningún tipo de examen remoto o a través de Internet. Eso significa que todos los estudiantes tienen que tomar los test desde la escuela. En algunos estados han aprobado lo que llaman una forma, un opt-out policy. En el estado de la Florida no hay una forma de opt-out, o sea, de decir que no vas a hacer el test. Los padres no tienen un documento legal, un papel en el que puedan firmar que no quieren hacer el test. Pero eso no significa que todo el mundo esté...
Come back.
Can we mute ourselves, please? Eso no significa que ustedes no puedan decidir y que estén obligados a traer a sus hijos a la escuela, bajo ningún concepto. Ustedes tienen la última decisión de traer a sus hijos a la escuela para hacer el test. Es decir, ustedes tienen el derecho de poner la seguridad por encima del test y decidir que no quieren traer a sus hijos a la escuela. En esta reunión vamos a hablar de las posibles consecuencias por no traer a sus hijos a la escuela y cómo afecta a determinados tests. Okay? I see a question. So what happens if a parent decides the child cannot go to campus at this time due to COVID? We will discuss that in this meeting. We're going to discuss all these questions. Okay? So if after the meeting we still haven't answered all your questions, let us know. Estaba diciendo que a lo largo de este meeting vamos a hablar de las posibles consecuencias por no venir. Pero por favor tengan en cuenta que en última instancia los padres son los que deciden traer a sus hijos y que no hay una penalidad muy grande por no hacer el test. Ms. Dillman?
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Delgado.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm speak Russian and nobody can translate it for me. Yes, and can you explain one more time? Because I'm really not understand. It's our choice, bring our child for
Yes,
FSA test?
we're gonna go over this more in depth. Ultimately, it is the parent choice. We're gonna discuss in this meeting that safety comes first at all times, not only during COVID. We always say in the school, safety comes always first, and it is not an exception this year. Ultimately, it's going to be the parent decision to bring your child to the school for testing. And we're going to discuss the potential or possible consequences if you decide not to. So stay tuned because we're going to discuss that in this meeting.
But
I'm sorry?
the testing is mandatory or not?
The testing is mandatory, but it is mandatory, but you have the choice for your child not to take it. So even though it's mandatory, you can decide not to bring your child to school to take the test. I promise you, we're going to discuss that in this meeting.
Okay, but
yeah.
But if the child not will come and not pass this test, what will?
We're going to discuss that later on today in this meeting, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's fine. We truly understand, and I think I speak for the whole team. We understand the level of stress this is giving our families. So no need to apologize. We truly understand the level of stress. Ms. Dillman?
Perfect. So we're going to go into that topic, the exact topic we were discussing a minute ago. So this is the state's guidance on, and this is actually in the parent letter we sent on the 15th. Every grade level received a parent letter. This is right from that state parent letter. So what they're explaining is, again, the goal of the statewide assessments is to provide academic achievement and learning data. In this meeting, in a couple of slides, I'm going to specifically talk about how it affects our MYP 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in regards to a state test. And as that parent was asking, I'm going to go over that exact information. So it provides data for not only students, parents, teachers, and school administrators, and district as well, to measure the progress of each child. The most important thing they want you to understand out of this slide is that no single assessment is a sole determiner for promotion. And I'm going to specifically talk about 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and what promotion looks like for our middle school students. So I'm going to move forward to the next slide. It explains more specifically what it looks like for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Because promotion for 6th, 7th, and 8th, we are looking at quality points, which I'm going to go over in the next slide, and how that relates to state testing for only certain grade levels. We're going to be looking at how the assessment affects certain grade levels and certain courses in those grade levels.
Bueno, como estaba diciendo Ms. Dillman en inglés, el objetivo de este test, tanto como el FSA como el EOC, es proveernos con información y data, ¿no? Y datos de lo que saben nuestros estudiantes y del progreso que han tenido. Esa información se da, por supuesto, a los estudiantes, a los padres, a los maestros, a los administradores y al distrito, porque siempre nos gusta contar o siempre nos gusta medir el progreso de nuestros estudiantes, ¿verdad? Y las enseñanzas de nuestros maestros. Aunque es cierto que estos tests nos dan muchísima información, también es cierto que no es este test la única medida que se utiliza para conseguir esta información. Así que en todas las escuelas, y especialmente en Franklin, que ustedes saben que tenemos muchos tests a lo largo del año, tenemos una enorme variedad de medios, de fuentes, donde recabamos toda la información de los estudiantes, y toda esta información nos va a ayudar para poner a los chicos en determinados cursos el año que viene, clases de refuerzo o clases avanzadas, etc. Es decir, que si usted decide que su hijo o hija no va a tomar el FSA, it's not a big deal. No es tanto el problema porque tenemos otro tipo de fuentes de información. Ms. Dillon?
Perfect. I want to provide explicit examples of how the state test is connected to certain courses. So let's start with the overall picture with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So looking at if 6th graders move on to 7th, 7th graders move on to 8th, and 8th graders move on to high school, we're specifically looking at quality points. Quality points is completely separate from the state test, which I know Mr. Delgado was explaining in Spanish. So quality points are looking at the specific courses. So administration and our guidance team actually began to meet with students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in Q2. So now we're in Q4. So we started early to meet with our scholars because we know that the AFAR remote learning was challenging for most of our students. And most of our students are in AFAR, the AFAR model with middle school. So we started to meet with the students that were struggling in specific courses. Because in middle school, we're looking at the courses and how well they're doing in each quarter. So as you see displayed there for you, each grade is equivalent to a certain amount of points. So an A, for example, in a quarter is equal to 4 points. A B is equal to 3 points. A C is equal to 2 points. A D is equal to 1 point, and an F is 0 points. This is completely separate again from the state assessment. This is how they're doing in each quarter for their grades. So you would be able to log into PowerSchool and see their grades each quarter for each course. So we're looking at Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. As you see, it's a progression throughout the year, depending on how your child did, and it's totaling those number of points. So you want your child in each of the core classes in middle school, for example, language and literature, mathematics, sciences, and individuals and societies, which could be world history, civics, or US history. So you're looking at those core classes to make sure that they're reaching the points. In 8th grade, we're also looking at career education and entrepreneurship. That's another core class for 8th grade specifically. So in PowerSchool, again, you can log in and see how your child's doing. We've met with the students that were struggling in specific courses, Q2, Q3, and we will be meeting with them once they get back from spring break if they're still in danger of not passing certain courses. Once we met with each of our scholars in that situation, we did follow up with emails to the parents. So at this time, you would have been communicated with if your child was struggling in specific courses for promotion criteria in order to move to the next grade. This is all, again, completely separate from state testing. There are specific courses I do want to identify that are linked to state testing because 30% of their final grade is linked to a state test. Now, these specific assessments are civics, which is an EOC. We call it an end of course exam. All 7th graders are enrolled in civics. Algebra 1 honors has an EOC or end of course exam, geometry, and biology. These 4 classes have an end of course exam occurring in May. So tonight, we're not specifically talking about these assessments. We're only discussing writing. So notice the only 4 courses that we're discussing that are linked to a state assessment are civics, algebra 1, geometry, and biology. Mr. Delgado, I gave you a lot of information to translate.
Yes, you did, but I wanted to emphasize something. I'm going to focus on one thing for all our families. To summarize this slide in very few words. The FSA test is not related to promotion. So bottom line, it's not related to promotion, meaning if you decide not to bring your child afar, not to bring him or her to the school, they will not be affected at all for promotion, except for the students who are doing civics, algebra, geometry, or biology. So I'm going to give you a scenario. Your 7th grade boy, Johnny, is taking 7th grade. He is doing civics. He's doing regular ELA, regular math, science, etc. Johnny is going to have 4 tests. the writing in April, the ELA, the math, and the civics. If you truly are considering not to bring Johnny to the school, I will tell you, it will not affect Johnny for the writing. It will not affect Johnny for the ELA. It will not affect Johnny for the math. But it will be worth it to think about, to consider bringing Johnny just for civics. Because to consider the year finished in civics or in algebra or in geometry or in biology, Johnny has to complete the EOC. So if you truly are stressed about bringing your child to the campus and you can pick and choose, just decide to do the EOCs over the FSA. Was I clear, Ms. Dillman?
Absolutely.
Okay, now in Spanish. Voy a intentar ir rápido porque yo sé que es muchísima información, pero voy a centrarme en lo más básico. Hay una ley estatal que es la ley 6000.1, que es la que establece todo el criterio para que los chicos pasen de curso, lo que se llama promotion criteria, ¿no? De sexto a séptimo, de séptimo a octavo y de octavo a high school. En definitiva, los chicos solo tienen que aprobar lo que se llama las clases core, las clases importantes. Todas son importantes, pero se enfocan en estas 4 clases, que son lengua inglesa, matemáticas, ciencias sociales, dependiendo del curso, ¿verdad? Historia de Estados Unidos o cívica, y ciencias naturales. Esas son las 4 clases que realmente cuentan para la promoción de los chicos. Los chicos tienen que conseguir 4 puntos en cada una de las clases. ¿Cómo consiguen los puntos? Cada quarter, los chicos pueden conseguir 1 punto con una D, 2 puntos con una C, 3 puntos con una B y 4 con una A. Y solo necesitan 4 puntos en total para pasar esa clase. Es decir, si su hijo tiene una A el primer cuarto en matemáticas, ya tiene 4 puntos. Si tiene una A todos los cuartos, consigue 16, ¿verdad? Bueno, pues solo hacen falta 4 puntos por clase para pasar. Una excepción es la clase de Career Education en octavo grado, que también es mandatoria. Como ven, no tiene nada que ver el FSA con la promoción de los chicos. No tiene absolutamente nada que ver. Lo que sí tiene que ver es en esas 4 clases que ven ahí: cívica, álgebra, geometría y biología. Esas 4 clases están ligadas a un examen al final del curso que se llama el EOC, End of Course. El 30% de esa clase depende de ese test. Así que es importante que sepan que si su hijo o hija no toma ese test al final del año, legalmente no ha terminado esa clase y va a recibir un incompleto por esa clase. Por eso estaba antes explicando en inglés que si ustedes realmente tienen mucho temor de traer a su hijo o a su hija a la escuela para tomar un test, sus hijos van a tener que tomar entre 3 y 4 tests al final de año. Consideren seriamente que tomen el test EOC. No tanto el FSA, que no les afecta para la promoción, como el EOC. Todos los estudiantes que están en peligro de estar retenidos en su curso, sexto, séptimo, octavo, ya se han reunido conmigo, o con Miss Dillman, o con Miss Turey, o con Mr. Turano, se han reunido con nosotros en el segundo cuarto y en el tercer cuarto. Y nosotros les hemos enviado un email, un correo electrónico, para dejarles saber que su hijo o hija estaba en peligro de ser retenido. Así que a estas alturas de la película, como decimos en España, ustedes deberían saber que si su hijo está en peligro. En cuanto volvamos de las vacaciones de primavera, el día 29 de marzo, vamos a hacer esta última ronda de comunicarnos con las familias y con todas las familias cuyo hijo está en peligro de ser retenido. ¿Ms. Dillman?
One quick explanation, because I was answering them in the chat. I just want to make sure I'm clear. So I know a lot of families were saying, what about 6th grade? What about 8th grade? So I just want to clarify what I was saying in the chat. So because those 4 specific classes we're explaining are linked, because it's the 30% the EOC is playing into their final grade, we want to make sure that your child does not receive an incomplete and it moves forward with promotion clean, as Mr. Delgado said. So for example, for our 6th graders, because our 6th graders are not enrolled in civics, in algebra, geometry, or biology, essentially, again, your child's participation in a state test would not affect their promotion. For 6th grade, you're specifically looking to make sure they have 4 quality points in each of their core classes. So again, for example, in 6th grade, you're looking at their science course, which is Earth, Space, Science. You're looking at their world history course. You're looking at their language and literature course, and you're looking at their mathematics course. So you're only looking for how they're doing in their core classes based on grades per quarter. And again, that's why there's that list of how the grades look and what amount of points each grade is. So in 8th grade, another parent asked, same situation, with the exception if your child in 8th is not enrolled in algebra, not enrolled in geometry, and not enrolled in biology, and they don't have any of those courses, it's the same situation. You're only looking at the core classes. The addition in 8th grade is you're looking at not only the core classes that I discussed, but you're also looking at career education, which is a core class in 8th grade. I hope that clarified that. All right, perfect. So we're gonna actually move on to the logistics. This is gonna show you when your child, specifically in 6th grade, we're gonna discuss first. If you're choosing to have your child come onto campus from afar, we're going to be discussing what it looks like, as well as if your child is a current flex student, and how they would come onto campus to participate in the state test. Ms. Amawedo is going to take over.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that do not know me, I am Ms. Amawedo. This year, I am the testing coordinator. So we're going to review first the calendar, and then we're going to go into more logistics. I saw some questions about materials the students might need to bring, so we're going to review all of that. First, we're just going to talk about 6th grade FSA writing. So writing is one session, so they would only need to come to campus for one day, the FR students. So 6th grade live and flex students are going to take their FSA writing on Thursday, April 15th. So we put the A day and B day on the calendar specifically for flex students. So typically on an A day, B students would stay at home. However, when they are scheduled to test, flex students A and B will come on that day. So on April 15th, live students and flex A and B students would come to campus. And then afar with last names A through L will also be coming to campus on the 15th. Then the next day, which is the 16th, only the afar students with last names M through C would be coming to campus to test. Then the following week, there's makeup. So if your child was not able to come on those days, there's a makeup on the 20th for any live or flex scholar that was not able to take it on the 15th, and a makeup for afar students on Friday, April 23rd. And we're going to discuss more logistics in the following slides, exactly what that looks like.
Bueno, muy importante. Aquí estamos hablando ya de las fechas. Me voy a dirigir solamente ahora a los padres con sus hijos en 6º grado. Ya saben que aquí en Franklin lo llamamos Year 1 por el IB Program. Bueno, los papás y mamás de 6º grado. Todos, absolutamente todos los chicos de 6º grado, ya sean AFAR, ya sean Flex y ya sean Live, cuyo apellido esté entre la letra A y la letra L, entre la letra A y la letra L, van a venir todos el día 15 de abril, el 15 de abril. No se hagan lío los que están en Franklin Flex, da igual que sea día A, día B, ese día no importa. Todos los chicos de 6º grado con apellido entre letra A y la L van a venir a tomar su FSA de writing, de escritura. ¿Ok? Ahora, el día 16, lo mismo para todos los chicos que estén entre la letra M, cuyo apellido esté entre la letra M y la letra Z. ¿Vale? Todos los chicos cuyo apellido esté entre la letra M y la letra Z que estén en 6º grado lo van a tomar el día 16. El día 16. ¿Ok? Y perdón que les diga, todos los que estén de Franklin Live y Franklin Flex, aunque sean de cualquier apellido, lo van a tomar el día 15. Discúlpenme, que me he liado. Solamente los de AFAR lo van a tomar el 16 entre la letra M y la letra Z. ¿Ok? Así que les repito, No importa el apellido que tengan los de Franklin Life y Franklin Flex, lo van a tomar el día 15. El día 15. Así que si su hijo o hija está en Franklin Flex B, no importa, tiene que venir el día 15 a tomarlo. La semana siguiente tenemos lo que llamamos el make-up. Es un día para que los chicos que no han podido venir, ya sea el día 15 o el día 16, que vengan a tomar el test. El día 20 pueden venir cualquier estudiante que esté en Franklin Life o Franklin Flex, pueden venir a tomar el test si no lo pudieron tomar el día 15. Y para los estudiantes de AFAR, pueden venir el día 23. ¿Mi Samuel?
For
Sorry, Ms.
Yes.
Omoedo, right before we go on, I just want to clarify what I put in the chat. So tonight we're only discussing the FSA writing test, again, which we discussed is not connected to promotion. If you are interested in having your child take the EOC, which is connected to civics, algebra, geometry, and biology, those assessments are going to be in May. So I just wanted to make sure we're clear on which assessments we're discussing tonight, which would be in April. Thank you, Ms. Almuero.
Okay, for 7th grade, now 7th and 8th grade are computer-based, and they will not need to bring their laptops. Laptops will be provided to them when they come to campus. So 7th grade, testing for all year 2 cohort, that's live and flex students, no matter if it's A or B flex. They will come to campus on April 19th. And FAR students with last names A through L will also come on that 19th. Then on the 20th, FAR students with last names M through Z will come to campus. Then their makeup days for live and flex are that Wednesday, April 21st. And for FAR students needing a makeup, any last name would be on that Friday, the 23rd.
Someone is asking, Ms. Gonzalez is asking if we will be sending this information. We actually sent this information this past Monday on the 15th. You should have received this calendar and this information. We're just going over the information you already received. So you should have this information. We sent an email on Monday, the 15th. If you have not received that email, please email me and I will send you this information back. I know it's a lot of information, it's a lot of dates. I apologize for that. Ok, ahora en español. Ahora estoy dirigiéndome a las familias de 7º grado. Acabo de decir en inglés que ustedes ya deberían haber recibido toda esta información el lunes. El lunes día 15 de marzo enviamos diferentes emails por grado. A los niños de 6º, a los de 7º, a los de 8º, diferentes emails con todos los datos y todas las fechas. ¿Ok? Bueno, a las familias de 7º grado, todos los chicos que estén en Franklin Life y en Franklin Flex, todos van a tomar el FSA Writing, el de escritura, el día 19 de abril. Y a FAR, solamente los que estén entre las letras A y L, su apellido esté entre las letras A y L. Al día siguiente, el día 20, solamente los estudiantes que estén en AFAR, entre las letras cuyo apellido empieza por las letras M o Z, son los que van a venir al campus a tomar el test. ¿Ok? Repito, ya sé que me repito mucho, pero el día 19, todos los chicos de Flex, ya sea A o B, van a venir ese día. ¿Ok? El Makeup Day, o el día para hacer el test si perdieron el primer día, para todos los chicos de Live o Flex, va a ser el día 21. Y el Makeup Day para los chicos que están en AFAR va a ser el día 23. 23, todo de abril. Estamos discutiendo solamente el examen de escritura ahora mismo. ¿Miss Samuel?
Yes. So 8th grade is the last to be tested for writing. So they are taking their writing test, all live and flex students, on April 21st. And the AFAR students, A through L, also on the 21st. AFAR students, M through Z, will be taking it on that Thursday, the 22nd. Makeups for any live or flex students that did not take it the day before would take it on that Thursday as well. And then any AFAR scholars that did not take it on the 22nd would take it on Friday, the 23rd. And we're going to go very into detail soon about how all that is going to look.
Bueno, ahora para las familias de octavo grado, solamente las de octavo, todos los chicos que estén en Franklin Live o Flex, van a tomar el test el día 21 de abril. Todos los chicos de octavo grado, Live o Flex. Repito otra vez, independientemente que sea Flex A o Flex B. Y para las familias que tengan el hijo afar o estudiando desde casa, solamente los estudiantes cuyo apellido empieza entre la letra A y L, para el día 21 de abril. Ahora, para los estudiantes que estén en casa, afar, cuyo apellido está entre las letras M y Z, es el día 22, Y el Make-up Day, de verdad que no sé cómo traducir eso en español, el día de segunda oportunidad para tomar el test, si no pudieron tomarlo el primer día. Para todos los Live y Flex es el día 22 y para todos los que están en casa afar, el día 23. ¿Mi Samuel?
So before we go into all the details, I just want to point out the safety precautions prior to you making your decision. So temperature checks upon arrival. Live and Flex scholars will enter through the front entrance as they do on a normal day. So they are scanned through the thermoscan as our normal practice. They go into the lobby and they get their temperature scanned. Afar scholars will enter through the black gate by the gym. And if you are a new family that has never been on campus, I assure you, you will not get lost. You'll just follow in the car line and there'll be staff members to help guide you onto where your scholar will need to go. So they will be scanned with a digital thermometer before going into their testing location. If your child feels sick in the morning or has any COVID symptoms, please do not bring them to the test session. So don't feel like you have to, you have to make it to the test session. If they do not feel well, then do not bring them to school. Just let us know and then we can schedule a makeup date. And we'll talk about where they will be a little bit later. So locations, Live Flex scholars, they will be testing in their homeroom locations, socially distanced. So all our classrooms are already socially distant. They're spaced out and they stay in the same cohort for the most part throughout the day. Any Live and Flex scholars will test in their homeroom class. Of our students will be testing in various on-campus locations apart from Live and Flex scholars. So that's a very important part that I want to make sure that you understand. Live and Flex are not going to be with afar students at any point during the day. So they're going to be separated in different locations. So there's no mixing of the students. And also I saw this question earlier about accommodation. So any scholar who qualifies for testing accommodations has an IEP or a 504 or an active ELL, so ESOL, they will be testing in a small group setting. So Live and Flex will have their small groups being pulled into different locations to receive their accommodations, and afar students will also be pulled into separate locations for their small group to receive their accommodations.
Put you in distraction.
Okay, Ms. Samuel, thank you. Let me remind you, parents, that someone is not muted. If you can help us by muting yourself, thank you. Let me remind you at this point that we start talking about safety precautions, that you have the decision, you have to make the decision. Ultimately, you are going to make the decision to bring your child to school. Again, you have that right, okay? It is our goal to provide you with all this information so you can make that decision with certain knowledge, right? That's the whole point of, or one of the points of this meeting. Bueno, en español, les estaba diciendo que ustedes como padres y madres tienen la última decisión de traer a los chicos a la escuela para tomar el test. No piensen que es obligatorio, no piensen que Franklin les obliga, no piensen que el Estado les obliga. Queremos darles toda la información que tenemos, incluso de cómo vamos a hacer el test y cómo vamos a organizar a los chicos durante el test para que ustedes puedan tomar esa decisión. En cuanto a seguridad, quiero que sepan que, igual que hacemos todos los días en la escuela, todas las personas que vengan a la escuela les vamos a tomar la temperatura. Tenemos unas cámaras térmicas que toman la temperatura en el front desk, en el frente de la escuela. Para todos los chicos que vienen de Franklin from afar, que están fuera de la escuela, ellos como van a tomar otra puerta, van a ir a la puerta que está al lado del gimnasio, vamos a tener un termómetro manual, es un termómetro láser manual para tomar la temperatura de todos los chicos. Y cualquier chico o chica se pueden imaginar que tenga una temperatura alta, no va a poder entrar en la escuela. Para aquellas familias que sean nuevas, que no conozcan la escuela, le estaremos indicando por dónde van a entrar los chicos. Pero para las que sepan, se acuerden de cómo es la escuela, es esa puerta negra que está al lado del gimnasio. Ahí es donde por donde van a entrar los chicos que estén en Attire. El objetivo nuestro es no mezclar a los chicos que están viniendo a la escuela todos los días con los chicos que no vienen nunca. No queremos mezclar a los grupos. Así que los chicos que estén en Franklin Live o Franklin Flex van a tomar el test con su maestro, su maestra, en la clase donde ellos están todos los días. En esa clase donde ellos están es donde van a tomar su test. En cambio, los estudiantes que vienen de fuera, que estén en Attire este año, lo van a tomar en el gimnasio. Es muy importante que sepan, si su hijo o hija se siente enfermo esa mañana, cualquier síntoma que tenga, ya sea COVID-related o no, porque no es bueno tomar un test cuando te sientes enfermo, no los traigan a la escuela. Y podemos schedular, qué feo. Y podemos programar una fecha futura para que los chicos tomen el test. Así que no se agobien, no se preocupen. Si su hijo o hija se siente mal ese día, podemos programar una fecha para después. A ver, déjame ver. Vamos a respetar los grupos, por supuesto. Si su hijo o hija tiene un IEP o es un estudiante ISO o tiene un 504 y tiene ciertas acomodaciones, ya sé que esa palabra no existe en español, y tiene ciertas acomodaciones, pues vamos a respetarlas y los chicos van a estar haciendo el test en grupos pequeños o cualquiera que sea la necesidad que su hijo tiene. ¿Okay? Pero como le digo, no vamos a mezclar a los chicos Live y Flex con los chicos que estén a FAR. ¿Mi Samuel?
So if you do decide to have your child in our FAR model participate in FIG testing, they will not need much. So 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade will need a sharpened pencil, no mechanical pencil, so sharpened number 2 pencil. We'll have extras if they do not have one, but it'd be nice to have one or two ready for testing on that day. A water bottle, as our water fountains are shut off to our safety precautions. So a water bottle is a nice thing to have, our water bottles. And an individually wrapped snack. So at the end of the testing session, they can have their little snack and a water before being picked up. And we're going to talk about the session length in a little bit. Also a sweater or jacket. It is cold in many of the locations on campus. A scholar does not need to bring a cell phone. If the child brings their cell phone, it will need to be turned off during the entire testing session and collected by the test administrator. So they do not need their cell phone. If a cell phone rings during a test session, it can invalidate the state assessment, which means the child will not receive a score for all their hard work on the test. They do not need to bring a book bag, no paper, and no computer. So even though 7th and 8th grade will be testing on a computer, they will not be using their own personal computers. A laptop will be provided to them.
Bueno, si ustedes definitivamente piensan que van a llevar a su hijo o hija a la escuela, están en Franklin Far y van a traer a sus hijos para tomar el test, vamos a ser muy específicos en lo que los chicos necesitan ese día. ¿Okay? Voy a empezar al revés. Voy a decirles lo que no necesitan traer. ¿Okay? Los chicos no necesitan traer un teléfono o una computadora, porque nosotros les vamos a dar las computadoras. Así que no tienen que traer su laptop, no tienen que traer una computadora. Nosotros les vamos a entregar la computadora en la escuela para hacer el test. El teléfono es importante que lo dejen en casa. Ya sé, hoy en día el teléfono es como un marcapasos, los chicos se mueren sin el teléfono, pero va a ser una absoluta pérdida de tiempo si lo traen porque nosotros se lo vamos a quitar. Porque es una violación si un teléfono suena en mitad de un test. Y como vamos a tener a los chicos en grupos, si un teléfono suena, se va a cancelar el test para todos los chicos. Así que Vamos a evitar eso sin traer los teléfonos a la escuela. No tienen que traer una mochila, no hace falta que traigan una mochila, no hace falta que traigan papel, nosotros les entregamos lo que les haga falta para el test. Lo que sí hace falta que traigan para ese día es 2 o 3 lápices, no de esos lápices mecánicos, portaminas lo llamamos en España. Los lápices mecánicos no sirven, tienen que ser lapiceros normales. 2 o 3, agua, ¿ok? Al menos una botellita, nosotros siempre recomendamos 2 botellas de agua. El test es corto, pero los chicos se estresan, así que un par de botellitas de agua. Un snack, algún tipo de merienda que esté cerrado, ¿ok? Aunque no tenga hambre, los chicos se ponen nerviosos y siempre es bueno, porque siempre hay un break, hay un pequeño descanso en el test y es bueno que los chicos coman algo durante ese descanso. Y por último, una chaqueta o un suéter, aunque no sea Franklin ese día, que lo traigan porque generalmente hace frío dentro de la escuela. Así que esas 4 cositas nada más. ¿Mi Samuel?
Okay. So as Mr. Delgado said before, the logistics was sent on Monday. If you did not receive it, I suggest first looking at your junk mail, because it might have just gone in there. And if you checked your junk mail and you still do not have it, then just make sure to contact us and we'll send it out again. So the next slides are very detailed, and this is where you want to put your focus because it's going to give you a bigger picture of how everything is going to work. So the first one is for just 6th grade. This is for Thursday, April 15th. So on each of these sections, it tells you who this affects and then what each instructional model is going to do on that day. So Thursday, April 15th, who is testing is all year 1 live and flex students, as well as the AFAR students with last names A through L. So it tells you here, live students will come to campus as usual and report to their homeroom. It is an A day, so Flex A students will come to school as normal as well. And then even though Flex B students would usually be at home on that day, since their grade level is scheduled to test, they will also come to campus as if it was a normal day during regular arrival from 7:45 to 8:10 in the morning and go right to their homeroom. So live and flex, A or B, will come to school like if it was a normal day. AFAR students will have a different arrival time. That's so that the live and flex can get into the lobby and we can clear the car line to start the second arrival of the AFAR students. So at no point will they be mixing. So from 8:15 to 8:30, I want to make sure that you stick within that window, not too early, so you don't run into the normal arrival, and not too late because the test will be starting. So students will be directed to enter through the black gate toward the gym, where they will be temperature scanned and taken to their testing location. So 6th grade is a paper-based test. The test session is 2 hours, and they will be testing the majority of them in the gym. If they have accommodations, then they will be pulled out into smaller testing areas, socially distanced as well. Attire. Students should come to campus with their regular Franklin uniform or a solid uniform shirt and solid bottoms. We understand they may have grown during this COVID time, taller. So if your bottoms do not fit, it's okay. You could wear plain bottoms and then a Franklin polo or a plain colored navy blue or white polo. A snack, as we said before, students may bring an individually packaged snack and water bottle that they will have at the conclusion of testing. So they're not going to have it during the test, it's going to be at the end of the session. This next portion only affects a few of our families. So if you have a live or flex student, for example, if you have a 6th grader who is AFAR, but you have a 3rd grader that is live, you can bring that live student during the second arrival. So you don't have to make the car line twice. You can just come at the later time, and that live or flex sibling will not be marked tardy. That only affects a few families. Pickup time. So like I said, the session would be 2 hours. So you would be ready on the car line by 11 a.m. And please have the placard placed on the windshield for quick and efficient dismissal. I know since you've been AFAR, you might not have a new placard for this year. If you have the one from last year, that will work. or just a regular sheet of paper with your student's name so that we can identify the cars and move the dismissal along. So that's live and flex and a FAR A through L. So we still have a FAR M through Z. What do you do on that day? So a FAR M through Z, you will not be testing. Students will log in to homeroom at 8 o'clock where they will take attendance, and then they will be dismissed for periods 1 through 4. So they will be taking attendance just with their homeroom, and this is a FAR students M through Z since they're not scheduled to test. They will sign in for attendance, and then they will work on Google Classroom assignments that will be posted for periods 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of our students will log back in for live instruction 5th period. So if you're a FAR A through L student is testing on campus, they should be back in time to log in for live instruction starting 5th period. So 5th, 6th, and 7th would be business as usual.
Ok, bueno, a estas alturas me imagino que ustedes ya están mareados con tantas fechas y tanta información. Aunque en este slide, aunque en esta pantalla ponga 6º grado, la información que voy a dar ahora mismo en realidad es para todos los grupos 6º, 7º, 8º. Claro, el día cambia. En esta pantalla sale el día de 15 de abril, que es para los chicos de 6º grado. Pero las ideas generales son las mismas. Ok, miren, todos los chicos que estén en Franklin Live y en Franklin Flex, el día que vayan a tomar el test, ellos van a venir normal y entre 7:45 y 8, normal, van a venir a la escuela y van a tomar su test en su clase, como dije antes. Y una vez que acabe el test, aproximadamente a las 11, van a seguir su día de forma normal. Esta información es sobre todo para las familias que tienen a los hijos en casa, Franklin from afar, que son las que no están acostumbradas a venir a la escuela. Para el día del test, el día que sea, que hemos dicho antes, para el día que sea, van a venir entre las 8:15 y las 8:30, justo después del Carmen. Y les vamos a indicar por dónde entrar a la escuela. Como les dije antes, es por la puerta negra al lado del gimnasio. Los chicos van a entrar por esa puerta y van a ir directamente al gimnasio. Si hay algún estudiante que tiene que ir a otro lugar porque está en un grupo pequeño, porque está en una clase más pequeña, porque tiene ciertas necesidades y está en un grupo más pequeño, de allí les llevaremos, no se tienen que preocupar. El uniforme. Sabemos que algunos de ustedes, algunos de los chicos, no tienen uniforme este año porque los niños crecen como locos, ¿verdad? Y hace ya un año que los chicos no han estado en la escuela. Entonces, si no tienen camisetas de Franklin o pantalones de Franklin, con tal de que vengan con colores que sean sólidos, como siempre decimos, color azul marino, color negro, blanco, etcétera, que vengan de una forma así discreta. Como repito, como he dicho antes, que traigan un snack y 1 o 2 botellas de agua. Hay algunas muy poquitas familias que tienen chicos que están haciendo Franklin Live y Franklin from afar. ¿Okay? Si ese día tienen que traer a su hijo de afar, no hagan 2 viajes, por favor, tráiganlos a todos a las 8:15, que no va a haber ningún problema. La hora de recogida, para los chicos que estén en afar, la hora de recogida después del test es a las 11 de la mañana. Así que prepárense a las 11 de la mañana en el Carline, vamos a estar listos para ustedes. Si no tienen el placard, la placa con el nombre, que posiblemente, que seguramente no la tengan, porque no están este año en la escuela, pongan simplemente un papelito normal con el nombre de su hijo o hija y eso va a ser suficiente. Los chicos esperamos que estén de vuelta a casa y que después pueden atender 5º, 6º y 7º periodo. ¿Ok? Así que van a poder atender 5º, 6º y 7º periodo después del testing. Ahora mi Samuel va a ir sobre el resto de días, etcétera, pero va a ser la misma información. ¿Ok? ¿Mi Samuel?
Okay, so Friday, April 16th, it's only FAR students M through Z that are going to be testing. So Live and Flex and FAR A through L will have a normal Friday. You're gonna log in and everything's going to be the same. So FAR M through Z only on Friday, you would come to campus at 8:15 and then be picked up at 11. This only affects the M through Z on that Friday. Everybody else is a normal day.
Continue. I got my Spanish speakers already done.
Okay. The following is for 7th grade. So Monday, April 19th, it's an A day. So all live and flex students would come to campus as usual and report to their homerooms. And then AFAR students with last names A through L would report at 8:15 to 8:30 in that time window and be picked up by 11 a.m. And then the same as 6th grade, they would log back in for 5th period for live instruction for the rest of the day.
Las explicaciones son las mismas que antes. Este slide es particularmente para 7º grado. Todos los estudiantes que estén live y flex el día 19 de abril, lunes. Y para FAR solamente los apellidos entre la letra A y la letra L. ¿Me Samuel?
Yes, sorry, I was looking at the chat.
No worries, fine.
No, students do not need to bring their computers for testing. Oh, live students, yes, live and flex would bring their computers. They just wouldn't have it during testing. So they would bring their computers, they just would have it aside and they would use a school computer for their testing session. Right, that's what you asked? Okay.
And for AFAR, the arrival is not from 8 to 8:15. It's 8:15 to 8:30. 8:15 to 8:30.
Okay, so Tuesday, April 20th would be 7th graders, last name M through Z, AFAR, and you would come to campus from 8:15 to 8:30, and then come back to pick up at 11. And then A through L and live and flex students, you're following a normal schedule.
Bueno, el día 20 de abril, martes, 7º grado, AFAR, entre las letras M y Z, nada más. Y todo lo que expliqué antes. El arrival de 8:15, 8:30, la recogida a las 11, no se olviden del snack, no se olviden del uniforme o por lo menos las prendas de color sólido. Y después, cuando lleguen a casa, van a tener 5º, 6º y 7º periodo. Ese día, para que el que tenga curiosidad, los que estén en Franklin Live o Flex van a tener un día totalmente normal. ¿Y Samuel?
In our last group, 8th graders, they will be testing on Wednesday, April 21st, if they are a live or flex student, and if they are an AFAR A through L student. Just like 7th and 6th grade, they would be testing on that day. M through Z students would be working on Google Classroom assignments for periods 1 through 4, and everybody would log back in for period 5, 6, and 7. And then the AFAR students, M through Z, would be testing on Thursday, April 22nd. So live and flex and AFAR A through L would have a normal day on Thursday. M through Z would be coming to campus for their tests and be back at home ready for 5th period.
You want to change the slide so we don't confuse our parents? Yes.
So AFAR students will have to log in when they get home, yes. So they'll be getting home within the 4th period time slot, so they'll be ready for 5th period. If they happen to be a little bit late getting home, that's fine, they will be excused.
Ok, este slide es para los estudiantes de octavo. Les repito, exactamente la misma información. El día 21 de abril, todos los estudiantes de Franklin Life y Flex de octavo van a tomar el test. Y para los AFAR, solamente los que el apellido empiece entre las letras A y L. Y todo lo anterior aplica, no se lo voy a repetir otra vez para no aburrirles. ¿Mi Samuel?
I'm going to hand it back to Ms. Dillman to talk about the parent survey and wrap it up.
All right, perfect. So I do see a couple questions I want to go over, and then I'm going to go into the parent survey. I know some parents were chatting me privately, so I wanted to make it a whole group conversation. So a lot of families were continuing to ask about the promotion criteria we talked about earlier. So I just want to repeat it very quickly because there were a lot of questions about specific grade levels. So in the beginning of the presentation, so again, we have recorded this. So that's the first thing. I know some families were cutting in and out and I was allowing you back into the room. So we are recording the session. It will be emailed to the families tomorrow. We just have to get a link for the recording. I will email the families. I will also email this PowerPoint. And as Ms. Amoedo and Mr. Delgado mentioned, we did send an email on the 15th with all of these logistics. So go back to your emails. Sometimes they show up in the junk folder when it's sent through our system. So go there first, and then again, wait for the presentation as well. All of the information is also on our website. So you can go onto the website. We posted all of the information we emailed, not the presentation tonight, but all the information about the logistics. A couple of questions about promotion that we were discussing. A lot of families had questions about the specific courses of the state testing affecting specific courses. So again, remember tonight we're talking about FSA writing, which is in April. The other assessments we were discussing about civics, biology, algebra, and geometry, which is where the state test does affect their final grade for those courses. That is going to occur in May. We will have a parent night prior to the 15th of April, so in the next coming month, about those assessments. Other families had questions about scheduling. How does this affect a child going into advanced? So I am the assistant principal over scheduling, so I know scheduling in and out. Last year, we didn't have state scores. Remember, it was canceled. I was able to schedule by looking at all sorts of data for our students. So if your child does not come for a state assessment, that does not affect their placement in advance. We do look at other testing, such as benchmark testing. We look at their grades. We take teacher recommendation. We take a lot of different data, not just the state test. It is never a sole determiner of how we schedule for a state test. So I just wanted to clarify that for the group. So the parent survey we're going to be discussing is going to be only sent.
Ms. Demon,
Oh,
I think
you want
what
to
you said,
translate?
yes, because it is extremely important.
Okay,
and I
perfect.
also wanted to give all parents in English also a little tip. Last year, I myself did, with not all the knowledge that I have now in technology, I did virtual parent academy just for promotion criteria. So you can go to our YouTube channel, Franklin Academy YouTube channel, and you will find a lot of good information about promotion criteria. So you can find very specific information and examples about promotion criteria. And since promotion criteria hasn't changed, it will apply to this year. A nuestras familias en español, Ms. Dillman estaba hablando de algo muy importante. Es necesario que ustedes sepan, este examen del que estamos hablando hoy es solamente el de writing. Y el de writing no afecta en absoluto, para nada, a la promoción de su hijo o hija. Así que si realmente no tienen, tienen mucho estrés en traer a su hijo, este es el examen que los chicos pueden faltar. Los únicos exámenes, voy a repetir, los únicos exámenes que realmente perjudicarían en parte a su hijo para la promoción son los que se llaman EOC, el EOC, que son los que toman en álgebra, geometría, biología y cívica, nada más, nada más. La promoción, el promotion criteria funciona totalmente independiente del FSA examen. Y también, no se preocupen si sus hijos no toman el FSA, porque tenemos suficiente información en la escuela ya para hacer clases de refuerzo, clases avanzadas, etcétera, el año que viene. Así que no sería un problema para nosotros. ¿Ms. Dillman?
Perfect. So the parent survey is going to be sent to only our parents and guardians with a child or children in our FAR model. The purpose of the survey is for us to know if you are willing to bring your child to campus to take a state assessment. The survey is going to be sent tonight, March 18th, to our families, again, of scholars in our FAR model. The deadline for completion is March 26th.
Me toca. No, my turn. Go back. Ah, no,
I did.
Go back. It's this one. Okay, good.
Yes.
You're faster than me. Bueno, justo cuando acabe esta reunión hoy, vamos a enviar el survey o la encuesta para que la tomen. No tienen que tomarla inmediatamente, tienen hasta el día 26, pero sí, por favor, acuérdense que antes del día 26 nos contesten, porque vamos a usar esta información para crear nuestros grupos, toda la logística de los exámenes de abril. En la encuesta les vamos a preguntar el grado, bueno, el curso en el que su hijo está, el homeroom, así que infórmense antes de hacer la encuesta cuál es el homeroom de su hijo o hija y si van a traer a su hijo o a su hija a la escuela para tomar el test. Esta encuesta se va a dirigir solamente a las familias que tienen AFAR. Así que si usted tiene a su hijo en Franklin from AFAR y no recibe la encuesta, mándeme un email, por favor, y yo se la envío. Y por el otro lado, si usted tiene a sus hijos en Franklin Life o Franklin Flex y recibe la encuesta, no la rellene, que no hace falta que la rellene. Así que, por favor, no la rellene porque asumimos que todos los chicos que estén en Franklin Flex y Franklin Life van a tomar el test. Ms. Dillman? I would say,
right.
Ms. Dillman,
Oh.
just clarification, only
Perfect.
AFAR families will receive the survey. If you are AFAR and you don't receive it, let us know. If you are not AFAR and receive it, do not complete it.
Perfect. This is just a slide describing the purpose. As we said, the purpose is for us to know which of our families with children in our FAR model are willing to bring their child to campus for a state assessment. And again, this form needs to be completed by March 26th. And the reason it's so crucial is we are planning, as I wrote in the chat a couple of times to some of our families, we want to make sure that our locations for our FAR students are established. Right now, we have planned for all of our students to come, but we know that's not going to happen. So we just want to make sure that we have the logistics planned out. So it's so crucial to make sure that you fill out the form by March 26th.
Okay.
Ms. Dillman, you can continue.
Okay, I was gonna wait.
No, I already said that
Perfect.
before. No worries, you're good.
Perfect. So another important thing, which we did discuss earlier, was the safety protocols. If your child is going to come on campus for any of the state assessments, they do have to wear their mask on campus. We are also following our social distancing protocols. So we want to make sure that all of the CDC guidelines are in place. As Ms. Amoedo mentioned earlier, if your child is not well the day that they're scheduled to test, please don't feel pressured to bring them in for testing. We are still following all of the protocols. Anytime your child has symptoms or COVID-like symptoms, please keep them home. We will plan accordingly. There are makeup dates that we've established. We also have the end of the month if we do have specific situations of makeups. So again, please do not feel stressed to bring your child to campus if they're scheduled that day. The first question on the survey is asking you if you will bring your child to campus for testing. Again, go through all the information we're going to provide to make your decision. This PowerPoint will be sent to you. I know a lot of families are asking again for the dates. They're in this presentation. They're also located on our website and in your email from the 15th.
Muy importante, algo que me alegro mucho que Ms. Dillman haya recordado, todos los estudiantes que vengan a la escuela van a tener que llevar la máscara mientras están en la escuela. Es obligatorio para todos los chicos. Todos los estudiantes que estén en AFAR y vengan a tomar el test van a ponerse la máscara desde que entran hasta que salen. ¿Okay? Es importante. Estamos explicando el survey o la encuesta. Esta es la pregunta clave, digamos, la pregunta más importante. Si van a traer a su hijo o hija al campus por el testing. ¿Okay? Vamos a asumir que si ponen que sí, es para todos los testing, y si ponen que no, es que no van a venir a ningún test. Ms. Dillman?
Perfect. So one of the parents actually read my mind because middle school is so different from 3rd through 5th with promotion. As I'm talking about the survey, I'm thinking in my mind about placing a question on the survey about which assessments you want your child to attend. So we're going to discuss that as a team. That's a great question. I saw Ms. Gordon asked, is there an option to come for certain assessments? So we will be, revamping our survey to provide that information, because as we discussed, there's certain assessments you may want to bring your child to, civics, geometry, biology, or algebra, whereas you may not want to bring them for writing as it does not affect their promotion. So that's a great question, Ms. Gordon. Electronic devices. So this is not bringing their laptop onto campus. As we discussed, 6th grade is paper-based, so there's no concern about a laptop. 7th and 8th grade, their writing test for FSA is on the computer. They cannot use a personal device. So we're going to eliminate your child from bringing a laptop to campus. We are going to provide them a laptop. So again, your child does not have to bring a laptop to campus if they're coming from afar for testing. Even our Live and Flex, we will provide them with a computer if they use their personal device the day of testing. So this is simply asking you not about a laptop, but about plug-in headphones. So for our 7th and 8th graders, they do need headphones for the assessment. So we want to make sure that if you're able to bring a pair of headphones, we want to plan accordingly if you do not have access to that materials, which is headphones. Again, that's just for, we don't want to transfer materials, so it's best that your child bring headphones with them from afar. Again, this is only relevant for 7th and 8th grade students.
La última pregunta del survey es solamente relevante para los chicos de 7º y 8º. Se me ha olvidado mencionar antes que este examen, bueno, y en realidad todos los exámenes de FSA para los chicos de 6º son en papel, no son en computadora, son en papel, pero para los chicos de 7º y 8º son en... La pregunta es solamente relevante para 7º y 8º. Si ustedes deciden que los chicos vengan a la escuela para tomar los test, les estamos preguntando si su hijo o hija tiene la posibilidad de venir con unos headphones, con unos auriculares, porque si no, nosotros les vamos a proporcionar los que tenemos. Así que esa última pregunta es para 7º y 8º, para saber si necesitamos entregarles nuestros auriculares. Nosotros tenemos de sobra, así que no se preocupen si ellos no tienen. Pero por supuesto le da más paz y tranquilidad a los padres que los chicos traigan los suyos. Pero si no tienen, no se preocupen, los nuestros están bien limpios y sin usar, así que no va a ser ningún problema. Ms. Dillman?
Perfect. Right before I go to this slide, there was a couple questions about it, so I want to address it. So some families are asking if my child transitions from afar to Live or Flex before testing happens. So that's a great question. If you go onto our website and you do make a request for a change of instructional model from afar to Live or Flex, that is on our website, you would make that request. That request does go directly to me. I manage all of those requests for your transitions for scheduling. If you do want to make that request for the transition, which I see a parent asking for the 29th when we come back from spring break, please do that as soon as possible if you want that transition to happen so that I can plan accordingly. The other question is if they do transfer to campus and you want them to be Live or Flex before testing happens, they would take the state assessment because they're going to be physically on campus for that test session. You would just follow the dates to see when their testing would occur. I hope that answered that question. Perfect. So donations for testing. We're asking for boxes of pre-sharpened pencils. Again, that's just to eliminate transfer of materials. We don't want children sharing pencils and touching each other's materials. So if you're able to donate any of these items, again, it's not mandated. We just are asking for our families with any help that you can provide for us. We're also asking for any boxes of individually wrapped snacks. Again, that's for our testing purposes to make sure that our students are able to receive a snack after all of their hard work the day of testing. Bottles of packs of bottled water. Again, everything as you see is individually sealed and wrapped. The sharpening helps us with the pencils because they're all sharpened and ready to go. If you are able to make donations, again, it's just for your help. It's not a mandate or a requirement. If you are able to donate, the drop off is going to be in the front office starting next Monday, which is the 22nd, from the 22nd to the 26th, anytime from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, we thank you if you are able to help with any of these items.
Bueno, esta es la parte de las donaciones, como os he dicho antes, no es dinero otra vez, solamente algunos snacks o botellitas de agua o lápices, porque aunque pedimos a todas las familias que traigan desgraciadamente no todos nuestros niños traen, y como queremos estar preparados, si ustedes tienen la posibilidad, solamente si nos pueden traer a donar para la escuela cajas de lapiceros que ya estén con punta, o botellas de agua. Las más apropiadas son las que ven en la fotografía, las pequeñitas, porque los chicos siempre acaban tirando la mitad de la botella y a mí me da mucha lástima. Así que las pequeñitas son las mejores. Y si deciden traer snacks, lo mejor, lo que más le gusta a los chicos son los granola bars, los goldfish, pretzels o botellas, o bolsitas pequeñitas de papas fritas o de snacks. ¿Ok? La semana que viene vamos a estar abiertos. Sí, los chicos no van a la escuela, pero nosotros trabajamos. Entre las 8 de la mañana y las 2 de la tarde pueden venir a cualquier hora si tienen la posibilidad de hacer alguna donación. Ms. Dillman?
All right, perfect. So I think we overloaded you with a lot of information tonight. Um, we don't want to stress you. You know us by now. We want to give you the whole picture of what it looks like. We want to make sure that you understand what the plan is, again, for April testing. And we really want you to understand the connection between promotion. So I did see a couple more questions and I wanted to just bring it back and come full circle from the beginning. Again, for middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is very different from elementary. There was a separate meeting for elementary, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. If you missed that meeting last night, we are going to have another session on the 30th. Again, that's for grades 3, 4, and 5. So for tonight, for middle school, again, you're looking for your core classes. So you're logging, let me mute. You're logging into Power School. Again, that's with all the grades. So you're looking for grades in regards to promotion for middle school. You're looking for the core classes, language and literature, mathematics, sciences, and individuals and societies, which is either world history, civics, or US history. 8th grade, again, has an additional core class. Career education and entrepreneurship is a core class for 8th grade only. So you're looking at the grades for promotion criteria. Now, with the exception of our 7th graders in civics, which have an end of course exam in May, Algebra 1 honors, which has an end of course in May, geometry and biology also have an end of course exam happening in May. So those 4 courses are the only ones that the state test connects with the promotion. So I wanted to kind of bring it back for some of our families that may have missed that information. Again, we are recording this session. So you are able to go all the way back to the beginning and go through it to see what's specific to your grade level. I do see some questions popping up in the chat. It is times for questions, so we can take a couple of questions if we haven't answered them already. I do see. Okay, so I do see a family asking for possibility of their son going to Flex and Afar. Again, anytime you want to request for a transition between any of our models, you're going to go on our website and you're going to fill out the form. That form information goes directly to me and I manage all of those requests. So if you have requested for the 29th or the 30th, I'm working through those requests now. So you're going to receive an email with a lot of information about your child coming to campus if you have already requested that. So just be looking out for that email coming up in the coming week of all the information if you've requested your child to come to campus.
Ms. Dillman, let me translate the last part.
Absolutely.
You mentioned. It's important. Ms. Dillman estaba hablando que como gran resumen de esta hora y media de toneladas de información, recuerden lo siguiente, súper importante. La promoción de sus chicos, la promoción me refiero a pasar de curso, no tiene absolutamente nada que ver con el FSA, absolutamente nada. La promoción sí tiene que ver con el EOC. De Civics, el EOC es el End of Year Exam, el examen a final de curso que tienen solamente la clase de cívica, álgebra, geometría y biología. ¿Ok? Así que, en resumidas cuentas, si su hijo o hija no está tomando un EOC solamente FSA, y eso depende de las clases que esté tomando ahora mismo, la promoción o mover a su hijo de un curso al otro no tiene absolutamente nada que ver con el FSA. También Ms. Dillman estaba hablando de si ustedes deciden cambiar a sus hijos de Flex perdón, the Flex Alive o the Live Afar, the Afar Flex, puede ser en cualquier momento. Miss Lindman lo hace en 48 horas generalmente. Tenemos un link, un enlace en la página web. Ustedes rellenan el cuestionario en la página web y en 24 o 48 horas Miss Lindman les contesta con un montón de información para hacer el cambio. Esa es la forma que hacemos el cambio. Miss Lindman?
Perfect. I see some questions about the points. So remember, it's a total per course. So for example, language and literature, which is your reading or English language arts class, they would need 4 points, a total for each quarter. So again, looking at the grades, you're looking at the grades per quarter for your child. An A in a quarter is 4 points. A B is 3 points. A C is 2 points. A D is 1 point. And an F is 0 points. So you're totaling the points for each quarter in that course or class. So remember, that is a login to PowerSchool, making sure you're checking your children's grades. If your child was in danger of failing any of those courses, the administrative team, the guidance team would have reached out to you at this point through email and or a phone call, because we have met with those students since the second quarter. So we've identified them very early in the school year in regards to promotion.
The total for passing is 4 points total. 4 points total. It's for passing. The sky is the limit. Of course, 16 is what we want to see. But with 4 points in one core class, the students are considered that they have passed that class. Okay?
All right, any other questions we haven't answered as of yet? If there's any questions, you can write them in the chat. We're just trying to sum everything up because I know it's a lot of information.
Or
Do you have a question?
Unmute yourself and say the question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you guys already answered this, just because I might just get it wrong here. My son is doing them from afar, and I wanted to know for the writing one. So I just wanted to know that he has to go to this to go to the next grade, or why would anyone have to take it? I guess I'm missing the reasoning about why would anyone have to take this test if they don't need to take it? Why would someone opt to take it?
Let me answer to that. It's not that they don't need to take it. We don't say that they don't need to take it. Students should take it. The state mandates students to take it, but this year they have put safety over academics. There is not, what we're trying to say here is that there is not a direct consequence between FSA and promotion. It doesn't mean that the students should not take it. We encourage all the students to take it, but of course, safety overrides everything else, What we know is that at Franklin, at least I'm talking for Franklin because we do have enough information, our students will not be penalized for not taking the FSA test. That's what we're trying to say. But the state expects everybody to take it. Why this year? I don't know, that we should ask them, but they expect everybody to take the FSA. What we're trying to do tonight is to let you know what will be the consequence for not taking it. But in theory, the state will love every student to take this test. It actually gives good information about student growth, teacher growth, etc. So optimally, everybody should take it. But again, safety overrides academics. I don't know if I made my point, but we're trying, yes, did I?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, because I know that's the whole reason why my son's still in from afar and not hybrid or going to the actual class. So that was the whole thing, is if I feel unsafe for my son to go take the test, but then I'm looking like this one may not be, but my son is actually taking Algebra 1 honors and he is taking civics. So that means, but he has to take those because of 30% of his grade.
He has to take it, but you can email me. There's other options, okay? Your child can take it next year. We don't want to open a Pandora box here, but if you feel completely adamant to bring your child to school, I mean, don't bring him, because there is always options. He will have an incomplete until he takes it. and he might take it next year. And even, I want to clarify, even if they don't pass the, let's say the EOC, it's still only 30% of their grade. So if a student has straight A's in civics, let's say, if they don't pass the EOC next year, they still have completed the civics. So there is always options. So I encourage you to email me, and I will respond to you with the options that we have, because I agree with you. There is a reason why you still keep your child home, right? So do not feel that you need to bring them even for the EOC. But we wanted to be fair with our families and let you know every single potential consequence. But next year in spring, we will offer the test. There is also an extra offer for algebra. I don't know for civics, Ms. Dillman, but for algebra at least in winter. So there is always options, okay? Do not feel that you have to bring your child to school, because we do have options, okay?
Well, I guess, but he will pass and go to the next grade, but then he still needs to take whatever he was supposed to take this year, next year.
That is absolutely correct. Your child will pass, will be scheduled in 8th grade, and then next year we'll take the EOC, civics, or algebra, whatever they have to take. Yes, that is absolutely correct.
It would be based on the material that he learned a year prior.
That is, and that's the caveat. You're right. That's the issue, that he will be in disadvantage.
Yeah.
But again, you have options, right? But you're right. He will be tested on last year's material. You're right.
Okay, it seems more clear to me now.
Thank you. And please don't hesitate to email me or call me, or Ms. Dillman or Ms. Amoedo, and we will be more than happy to talk to you. And not only you, but anyone in this room who feels a little icky and a little uneasy about all this. We want to provide you with all the information for your peace of mind. Because again, there is always options, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Dillman, more questions in the chat?
Yeah, I think we answered some of them. I just want to refer to one. So again, the state's not referring to, if a child does not participate, that means you as a parent are choosing not to bring your child from the AFAR model to campus to test. It's not opting out. There's not an opt-out policy. You would just not bring your child to participate in that state assessment. If your child does not take the FSA or the state assessments, as we're discussing, it doesn't compromise your transfer to 8th to high school. Again, you're looking at them passing their core classes in order to be promoted. So it wouldn't compromise to go to another school. I saw you mentioning some high schools. So if your child's in 8th grade going to 9th, again, you're focused on them passing their core classes in regards to that. I hope that answers that question. With the technology, I see we still have some confusion. So again, when a child is taking a state assessment, if they're live or flex, and they normally bring their personal device onto campus for the state assessment, they're not able to use their personal device. We will give them a computer to use during that time to take the state test. So that is, I hope that clarifies that question. Just for the state test, that 2 hours span of time for writing, we would give them a laptop to use because it has to be a school issued laptop during that time.
And if
There
your
was-
child,
oh, go ahead.
if your child is in live and has a laptop, a school laptop, and brings the laptop back and forth, and that day doesn't bring the laptop, we will provide your child with a laptop. Do not worry about it. No worries. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna dare you. I'm gonna dare you to wait for the recording and watch it all over again. Thank you very much for tonight. We feel extremely supported by you all parents. We had more than 120 families tonight. Thank you so much. I'm sure you're gonna have tons of questions this and next week. We're here for you. Do not hesitate. Call us, email us. Anything you need, let us know. Again, there's always choices, there's always options, there's always things that we will be able to do. We might not have all answers for all questions, but we'll try to find them. okay? Mrs. Dillman, Ms. Amuelo, thank you so much for all your efforts, for putting together, again, not only this presentation, but the whole testing season. I know it's going to be very successful, and I'm sure our parents had enough of us today. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Thank you
It's a
so much.
pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Delgado, and
Thank you.
thank you, family.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye,
evening.
good night.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Y gracias a mis amigos en español. Ha sido un placer traducir.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Buenas
Gracias de verdad. Muy buenas noches.
Buenas
Esta
noches.
información es importantísima, por eso tradujimos al español.
Sí. Gracias.
Gracias.
Hasta mañana.
Thank you, everyone. Ms. Dillman, Ms. Amuedo,
Have a good one.
you need to have a great one. You need to save the chat, right? Just in case.
Yes, once I stop the recording, it should send me a file of the chat.
Got it. Some of our families enjoy the bilingual session. I did too, I have to say. Little show off here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We truly miss you.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone.
We miss our families. We do.
So,
I'm
see you
sure.
soon, guys.
Good to see you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, we will be sharing this video. Yes, again, I dare you to rewatch it again. Ms. Dillman, Ms. Amuelo, let me know when you have saved the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to end the session and it's going to send me the chat.
Perfection. Okay.
All right. Thank you, team.
Thank you, ladies. See you
Bye.
mañana. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Have a
Have a
great
good
night.
night.
Bye, Mr. Toronto. Have a great night. See you mañana. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Thank
Muy bien.
you.
Night, Dylan.
Good night.